Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of this week's podcast, Is This Legal? My name is Russell Hebets, and I'm here with my co-host in crime, Colin McCallin. How's everyone doing out there today? Colin, how are you?
Well, are you asking them or are you asking me?
Well, they already answered. I'm asking you right now.
I didn't hear their answer, but I'll assume they're doing well.
Speak louder.
Yeah, I'm doing great, Russ. How are you? Happy Friday. We're recording this on a Friday. That's always good.
Happy Friday. We're recording this in Denver. We are on a hot streak, literally.
Yeah. We could use some snow.
Days and days of 60-degree plus weather.
Like I'm begging for snow.
I'm begging for snow.
Yeah,
the mountains
that would be great.
Are not looking good, and that doesn't bode well for everyone downstream from us.
No. So very mild winter, but let's talk about a climate that's a little warmer in locale. Tucson, Arizona, because that's where we're going today, right, Russ?
That is downriver. We are going to be talking about the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. This is the mother of the very famous broadcaster Savannah Guthrie.
Yep, Today Show anchor. This is a case that everybody is talking about. It's captivating the nation right now. It's awful. But at this point, we are 6 days removed from Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. And let's talk about what we know.
Yeah, so this happened. The last she was seen was the night of January 31st.
Of 2026.
Of 2026. Sometime in the early morning hours of February 1st, she was abducted from her home.
Yeah, she was last seen having dinner with, I think, one of her children, and she took an Uber home. The Uber driver confirmed that he dropped her off at her home. She went in. We know that her garage door opened and closed at right before 10 o'clock p.m. And there she remained, and then she was disappeared the following day. But Russ, what makes this so sinister? How do we know, or how does law enforcement know that this isn't some person who just wandered out of her house?
Well, first of all, although she's 84 years old, she was, by all accounts, very sharp mentally. Now, the same is not true physically. So she is someone who had very limited mobility. She has multiple health issues. She's on medication. She is not someone who had the mobility to walk away. She is not someone who you would expect to wander away from, for example, a dementia patient.
Right.
So for all those reasons, they don't think she left. But there's even more. We know exactly the rough time window of when she was abducted. Her Ring camera was disabled. Her Apple Watch stopped communicating with her pacemaker.
Right.
These all happened between 1:47 a.m. and 2:28 a.m.
Right.
There was a forced entry. There was blood. Now, not a lot of blood, a small amount, but there was blood found on the front porch of her house.
That did come back to being from Nancy. It's her blood.
Yep, it was.
We don't know when. I'll say that. The thing about serology and blood, I mean, obviously, you find blood on a porch, it's going to be interesting, and you're going to take a good look at it. But one thing it doesn't always tell you is when the sample was left there. So, I mean, I'm sitting here wondering, maybe she could have cut herself or during some accident on the front porch and bled a little bit. She didn't tell anybody about it. Maybe that's evidence of nothing, in other words.
Yeah, I mean, that could be, but it could be evidence that there was even an injury, right?
Right.
And so her phone, her car, her wallet, all were left behind.
Yeah.
So,
and
like,
no one leaves their house without taking those items these days. It just doesn't happen.
And then really, the clincher, Colin, was the ransom notes.
Well, initially, the first couple days went by. We didn't know anything. There was no evidence of any ransom notes. And look, I guess it should probably be said that there is not a lot of information out there that's public about this investigation.
Right.
I mean, the police have been very, very selective. I guess the Pima County Sheriff's Office in California, or in Arizona, where this happened, they've been very, very tight-lipped about what they found. For example, inside the house, that blood sample that you mentioned, that was found outside the house on the porch. Was there any serology work that was done inside? We know that lab techs have been all over that house. Canine units have been in and out. So they're definitely combing it over very carefully.
Well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that because fairly recently the Pima County Sheriff made a statement about the crime scene, and we're going to talk about what mistakes may have been made right from the outset in this case, and we'll talk about that on the back half of this. So there's a little teaser for you.
I mean, I think the fascinating thing about this is just not something we see every day. We're talking about potentially a true, legitimate kidnapping of from someone fairly well known, and we're talking about ransom demands. We have no idea whether or not this person is alive or dead. We're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go through the podcast. But I mean, how harrowing that we're all kind of living this together right now.
I mean, kidnapping of the elderly is incredibly rare, right? And I think, Savannah's notoriety really has brought this into the forefront of the public discourse in a way that you don't normally see.
Sure, absolutely.
And that, that should put a whole lot more eyes out there, which, tips are a big part of any investigation. And so there should be a whole lot of people looking. I mean, in part of the investigation, right, Colin, is going through everyone in that neighborhood and looking at all the ring cameras, any surveillance photos, interviewing all of the neighbors. Did you see any suspicious cars? Do you have, because these are how things ultimately get tracked down.
Well, let's talk right there about maybe what we know or don't know about this alleged kidnapper, if that's what we're dealing with here. Okay. So first of all, the police have not suggested that we know what the motive is behind this. Obviously, it's very noteworthy that Savannah Guthrie is this famous person and her mom goes missing. Is it possible that this somehow relates to Savannah? Is it possible that somehow she pissed off the wrong person by something that she said or did in her capacity as a public figure? Who knows, right?
Or we just know that she has money. I mean, she's a very well-known broadcaster. She makes $7 million a year. Right. So we're not sure if they specifically targeted her because they knew that there were deep pockets there, or it was just an affluent neighborhood.
Can you imagine if they didn't know that it was Savannah Guthrie's mom? There's a mastermind going, "You idiots! You kidnapped Savannah Guthrie's mom, the most famous anchor on national television.
You fools!"
I mean, yeah. But I this is my take on that, not knowing anything more than this, but I think they did know because so far they have managed to abduct a person in the middle of the night without raising alarm bells. It seems to me that there must be some kind of sophistication going on here if they're able to disable a ring camera, possibly disable her Apple Watch, her heart rate monitor. This to me tells me that they probably did enough research on her to know that she lived alone, to know what her patterns would be, to know whether or not there would be anybody else in that home. I'm sorry, I just feel like it's much more likely that they would know who they're targeting and know more about her, and specifically that she is this famous person's mom.
I think there's a lot to that. Like, this was not an amateur operation so far, right? Just like to your point, they disabled the ring camera and they've been able to evade detection. Like, there's no named suspects right now. That is getting somewhere, especially in today's day and age where you have so many technologies where you can track things. The ability to be 6 days in and still not even have a named suspect shows that they, at least on some level, knew what they were doing. So to your point, it would seem odd that they would know and be able to pull this off so far but not know who she was. But I'm saying it's not impossible. It's possible they just scoped her out and didn't know who she was but knew her patterns and knew how they were going to go in and get her and thought she just looked like maybe there was some money in the family.
Right. It does seem like there must have been some degree of planning in this whole thing, though.
Yes.
This does not seem like an impulsive thing, like where a couple of people are walking down a street saying, "Oh, let's go abduct a this is old grandma over here, and
Right.
see what happens. See if we can squeeze some money out of her family.
And I'll say
Doesn't seem like that.
It doesn't seem like that. And there have been some speculation. Anytime you have something, there's going to be conspiracy theories.
I mean,
right?
all kinds of. We can speculate till the cows come home on this thing.
Was it aliens or was it not aliens? I'm not sure.
I'm 20% sure
that it wasn't.
Well, 80% sure that it wasn't aliens.
Okay,
I'm
all
allowing
right.
for a 20% chance.
All right, the
You never know.
Illuminati.
Yeah.
What about that? Like,
Well, clearly they're involved. They're directing the aliens to, do what they need to do. They've got deals with interstellar treaties
With
that
aliens.
we don't even know about with all sorts of life forms. The Illuminati knows that.
it's
of course.
probably
Everybody knows that, Russ. Everybody knows that.
Colin is probably somewhat connected to the Epstein files. I'm not sure how, but
Again,
probably.
clearly. Same with the chemtrails flying right over our heads. It's all related, Russ. That's what I've been saying for years.
All right, but there have been some people saying, hey, maybe this was an inside job, maybe this was a family member. Super unlikely that that's the case, right? If you're a family member and you're going to try to pull this off, you don't need to abduct her in the middle of the night. You can basically just, on some ruse, get her into your car, take her with no, not all the risk that goes into a midnight or a 2 a.m. abduction.
Right.
So everyone, we're pretty certain, especially with the ransom notes, that this was not an inside job, that this is someone unknown to the family.
Right.
And the family's been outspoken, right?
So yeah, a couple of days ago, and this has been made public, Savannah Guthrie and her two siblings, her sister and her brother, sat down in front of a camera, made about a 4-minute video that was essentially an appeal to these kidnappers. All right. I watched the video. I thought it was well done in a couple of key respects. You hear about this from like amateur psychologists, but the idea is you want to humanize the victim.
Right.
This is just basically a piece of trash that these kidnappers have taken as far as they're concerned. There's something to be exchanged potentially or bartered, for money.
Right.
And the goal in anything like this is you want to humanize the victim. We remember this from Silence of the Lambs. They talk, I don't know if you remember that movie, but there's a huge discussion about that, how, we want to make sure we personalize the kidnapping victim. Call her by name, which is what they did.
Right.
Call her mommy, use terms of endearment, talk about the fact that she is frail, that she's elderly, that she needs care, that she needs medication to survive. You want to lean on those, hey, you have the power to keep this woman alive, you should exercise it.
And, Yeah, and we actually, apparently, I didn't watch the video, but apparently her grandson put out another video just yesterday, again, along those same lines. And of note, at least as far as the public releases have been concerned, there's been no further communication, and they've been begging the kidnapper, please talk to us.
Well, not only has there been any further communication, Russ, but from what I can tell, and I think this was made evident in the video they made, the Guthrie family or law enforcement have not been made any assurances that Nancy Guthrie is still alive.
Right.
There's no proof of life that's been communicated where we know, okay, she's still alive, there's still hope here. That's what the Guthrie family was appealing for in their video. They asked, look, we know that information out there can be manipulated and changed and voices can be altered. What proof do you have that this is that she's alive?
So let's dive into, on the flip side of our break, let's take a break, play a little Is This Legal? And on the flip side, let's talk more about how authorities handle ransom notes and ransom demands. Let's talk about, this case, the ransom note, what we know, the fake ransom note, and kind of what we know about that proof of life and Nancy's health.
Sounds great. So yeah, we'll take a break right now to play Is This Legal? We'll be back. Friends, Romans, countrymen, are you ready to play Is This Legal? Yes, indeed, we are. I'm answering for all of you. So, Russ, I believe it's your time to kick it off. What do we got today? What kind of juicy hypothetical have you cooked up for us to test our viewers and listeners' legal smarts?
Allow me.
I'm ready. Oh, you got something in your. There you go.
Yeah, that's better. All right, so this, as Colin just alluded to, is where I give you a legal scenario. You guys decide what the correct outcome can be. So this is for bragging rights in the family, in the office.
Maybe there's some wagering. I don't know.
I was going to say office pools.
I'll bet there's like 50 grand riding on this somewhere in the country. I mean, you guys know how we. Yeah. Okay, so good luck to you bettors. Hopefully you don't lose your house on this.
Yeah. If you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, the over-under is 34, by the way, on this question, so do the math.
All right, so we're going back to Northamptonshire, where Black Bart has been arrested for robbing the Northamptonshire National Bank.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Jebediah was also arrested for being a getaway driver. The prosecutor handling the case really wants to put Bart away for a long time, so goes up to Jebediah and he says, "Hey Jebediah, I'm going to make you an offer. If you testify truthfully about the plan you and Bart hatched, I will offer you a deal where you don't have to serve any jail time at all." Now,
pretty sweet deal.
Bart's trial rolls around and Jebediah is called to the stand. He indeed does testify truthfully about what happened. However, the jury decides that Black Bart is not guilty and Black Bart is acquitted.
Whoa.
It happens.
Wow.
The DA then goes over to Jebediah and says, "Our deal is off. Since Black Bart wasn't convicted, your testimony was useless. We are going to pursue a jail sentence for you in your case after all." Jebediah's lawyer, Myrtle.
Bad news.
Right, but he's got Myrtle at least.
Oh, of course he does.
So lawyer
That's what makes this interesting.
Right. Lawyer extraordinaire Myrtle files a motion with the judge to enforce the plea agreement. The DA says that agreement is void based on that not guilty verdict. What, dear listener, dear viewer, should the judge do?
Wow. I mean, it's almost like the DA is like blaming Jebediah for losing the case. It seems to me like we could give that prosecutor a big fat mirror and say, "Hey, look into this if you want to know who dropped the ball on this case."
Maybe you should have had a better opening argument.
You had the getaway driver and you couldn't get a conviction on Black Bart?
On the flip side, though, Colin, like the whole point of his testimony wasn't just for fun. It wasn't just for fun and games. The testimony was to convict Bart.
Yeah.
I mean, the prosecutor said, "Hey, I want to put Bart away for a long time." And maybe Jebediah just wasn't convincing enough, and maybe his heart wasn't in it.
Well, it's certainly an interesting predicament, isn't it?
And I think this is enough time for people to have locked in their votes.
Yeah. So the question one more time, just to repeat and stall a little bit more, but is when the prosecutor, so he offers Jebediah a deal, says you have to testify truthfully so we can convict Black Bart. He does. He testifies truthfully, but then they don't get the conviction.
Right.
So what does that do to the deal? Can this plea bargain be enforced or not? What say you, Justice of the Peace?
So the answer is Jebediah wins.
That's right.
So there's something called detrimental reliance. And what that means is Jebediah relied on the prosecutor's promise, and he did something to his detriment, i.e. he went in there and confessed, essentially. So because of that, because of detrimental reliance, he is allowed to enforce the agreement or to require the judge to enforce the agreement.
Think of this agreement as a contract.
Right.
That's exactly what was formed when the district attorney said, "Hey, if you do X, I will do Y."
Yep.
And Jebediah performed to his detriment.
Right.
Meaning, remember, like Russ said, he confessed. He said, "I did this in order to take advantage of a better deal." The prosecutor must comply with that plea bargain.
Right.
So what should the judge do in this case? The judge should say, "No, DA, you cannot seek a jail sentence against Jebediah. You have to offer him what you originally offered him." Now I'm sitting here just kind of as a side note saying, well, gosh, if Black Bart got off the hook, maybe Jebediah should reject that crappy plea deal and go to trial himself and take his chances. That sounds like the Jebediah I know.
Yeah. He may do that.
We're not going to talk about what happens if he did that, because that's not the basis for today. But let your imaginations run wild, folks.
Yeah, for any law nerds out there, People versus McRander, Colorado Supreme Court case that holds that holding for detrimental reliance.
Yeah, that's exactly what Myrtle would cite to get this plea agreement enforced. So, how did you do? How did you do? Did you mess this one up? If you did, are you feeling kind of bad about yourself? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. There's plenty of opportunities to come back and play again. We're banging a bunch of these episodes out, so keep on the lookout for them. And if you didn't get this one, come back and try the next one.
And we'll see you next time.
On Is
This
Legal? Woo! Woohoo! All right, welcome back to the show. Hope you had fun playing Is This Legal? We're going to get back into the Nancy Guthrie attempted, what we think is a kidnapping case. Could be something worse, but we hope not. But let's get back into it, Russ. So we mentioned that ransom notes have I guess, been produced in this case. We know very little about these notes. They have not been made public, but apparently TMZ received a ransom note, I guess 2 days into this thing, and then a couple of other media outlets have also received ransom notes that apparently had enough information about Nancy Guthrie where they were able to be at least authenticated as real, or they're taking them very seriously.
Yeah, they haven't officially authenticated them, but apparently they have details about the state of the house and what she was wearing. So it seems like at least one of those notes is legitimate, and they're, as you said, taking it seriously.
Yeah, of course, the Guthrie family put out that video,
Right.
which seemed to be some sort of response to whatever they had received.
Right, yeah.
So Russ, let's talk about ransom notes a little bit. I mean, how can law enforcement use ransom notes in these investigations?
So they treat them as evidence, right? So this whole time, whether there's a potential negotiation with a kidnapper or not, law enforcement is investigating the whole time. They're trying to track this person or these people down. So a ransom note is evidence. They're looking at how it was produced. They're looking at how it was conveyed. They're looking at the syntax of the note. They're looking at everything to do with this note to see if it has any clues that can lead them to the identity of the perpetrator. So they are, in addition to doing that, that's going on the whole time, right? They're trying to verify authenticity, which is what we just talked about. So those would be those details that they know that maybe no one else would know.
Right.
They are trying to, once they get that note and they're taking it seriously, they're looking for proof of life, right? We talked about this earlier, especially in a case with an 84-year-old fragile woman. They're looking for, they want proof of life.
Right.
And that's what the family was asking for as well.
Yeah, and that's what I have to think they might have gotten some information on. Just for, if they're authenticating this, I would think that these kidnappers must have provided some evidence that they at least have Nancy Guthrie either dead or alive.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Right.
Yeah, that's me speculating, but
right.
Russ, do authorities generally advise payment of ransoms to families in these situations? What's the textbook? What's the FBI field manual say about that?
Generally not. It's kind of like, you don't negotiate with terrorists. You basically don't want to give incentive to people to go out and kidnap more people to make more money. Now, they ultimately do defer, like they're not gonna stop a family from paying a ransom. They're going to maybe try to discourage them, but ultimately it's up to the family. The one interesting thing is, the mode of payment, right? Because back in the day, before we had, crypto, you're talking about you have to get cash like
drops.
Suitcases of cash or duffel bags of cash.
You remember that from the movie Speed? Remember the bomber was demanding $3 million and they had to do a cash drop in like a mailbox. I think those days are long gone, Russ.
Oh yeah. Well, you have ink bombs. You have marked dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Can we talk about the movie Ransom for a moment? Did you ever see Ransom? It came out in the 90s. Mel Gibson, Rene Russo.
Nope, I never did see that.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I mean, I've been thinking about that movie, as I'm going to venture a guess to say some of our listeners who have seen that movie, just because, I mean, that's a movie that deals with a high-profile kidnapping and ransom. Mel Gibson is the star of the movie. In that movie, the FBI is advising Mel Gibson to pay the ransom the whole time.
Oh, really?
And the twist of the movie basically comes where he goes on TV, he's got like this stack of $2 million in front of him, and he starts taunting the kidnapper, saying, hey, this is the ransom that you're demanding. You're never going to see it. I'm actually going to use this as a bounty for your head. And crazy stuff ensues. But I found that interesting because I'm like, I don't know, maybe Hollywood got it wrong. Can you imagine Hollywood getting it wrong, Russ? That maybe we're supposed to pay these people?
I can imagine that. It does seem like it's not the best idea to taunt someone who, has power or control over your loved one.
Right. Well, okay, back to what you were saying, though, about, let's talk about exchanges, because this goes to, I mean, how is this whole thing going to play out? Let's just assume for a moment that Nancy Guthrie is still alive, and that her captors are, in fact, intending on collecting a ransom, and there's going to be some sort of exchange, okay? How does that happen, Russ? I mean, you even mentioned you mentioned crypto, and that there might be a way where you could get funds to like an anonymous bank account somehow that can't be traced, where that kidnapper could still get his money. I think that's still going to be very, very difficult. I mean,
easier than cash, but difficult.
Yeah. Anyway, you're going to need someone on the receiving end who receives that money and does something with it, and that, you can always follow the money in these investigations to see where it leads and what happens to it.
It's hard to follow crypto, but you can watch like crypto wallets and see activity and see withdrawals. But like the crypto itself it's encrypted. It's not traceable.
So that'll be interesting to see. But then again, how do you even facilitate an exchange? How do you release an 84-year-old woman back to her family without getting caught? Where do you put her?
Well, we talked about this, like, how do you do that without risk of her identifying you, right? Unless you're wearing a mask the entire time, because now you have a witness. You have a live witness who can say, this is who took me.
And again, we're probably not dealing with amateurs here. So far, this has been, they have managed to evade detection, so as far as we can tell. And so you're right. Is someone this sophisticated going to release a real live witness who can identify them, who might be able to identify their voice, their location? I mean, there really could be a number of ways Miss Guthrie, even without seeing this person, might be able to provide information that leads to this guy capture. Is this kidnapper going to risk that?
Yeah, unless they're sophisticated enough to make sure that she doesn't have any of that information, right? She's got a bag over her head. So we've been talking about how this seems like it's at least somewhat professional, this kidnapping. Let's juxtapose that to the ransom note that was made a couple days ago that was not so professional.
I believe you're talking about the ransom note hoax that came up in this case.
That is what I'm talking about.
Russ, why don't you fill our listeners in on, this is honestly a bonus DCOTW for you, I think.
It really is. This guy,
Derek Colella from Hawthorne, California. What did Derek do, Russ?
42-year-old man, he sent using, I think it was voice over IP, he sent a ransom note to local media outlets after the first one came out, demanding money. And he did such a piss poor job with this, Colin, that he was basically immediately identified and arrested and charged in federal court with transmitting a ransom demand through interstate commerce.
Allegedly.
He's charged with it. He's definitely charged with it, with a maximum of up to 20 years, right?
You think this is just some dude like Joe Sixpack just sitting on his couch on a Friday, like, oh man, maybe I got an idea. Let's get some free money.
Seems like there's some money in this. Let's go.
Let's send a note.
Hey Siri, please.
Hey ChatGPT, please disguise my voice like a kidnapper and pretend like I'm Nancy Guthrie's.
I mean, like really, it's absurd. So
yeah, that is the levity in this case. So we can all collectively laugh at Derek Colella for his alleged crime in this. Please, if you're listening, don't send in a fake ransom note. That's not a good idea. It's not going to help anybody. It's definitely not going to help you.
Yeah. No,
Don't be like Derek.
It's not good at all. So for the actual kidnapper, if this is, I really do think that this person is going to get caught, just with the amount of investigative resources that are being put towards this.
We talked about this many times. It's really hard to either go missing or to disappear someone without leaving a trace.
Right.
A digital trace, something that you haven't thought of. Does a kidnapper have a cell phone? Guess what? That can be tracked. That can be used to track your movements. There's a lot of ways that this can go down. Honestly, I'm really kind of amazed that we're sitting here 6 days removed and that these people haven't been caught yet.
Right.
But we'll see. Russ, I think this is maybe perhaps slightly morbid, but I do think it's worth a discussion. I think we'd have a discussion. What's the likelihood that Nancy Guthrie is alive versus the fact that she has been killed or has been murdered?
Well,
what are we looking at here? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that makes a difference as to the charges, right? Because federal kidnapping charges, because the feds are involved, right? FBI is very involved in this investigation. Federal kidnapping is maximum life imprisonment, but if the victim dies, then it becomes eligible for the death penalty.
Okay, so there is an incentive for the kidnapper if they were going to abandon their plan. It does help them if Miss Guthrie is returned alive.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. And this is a case where you might be looking at the death penalty. Just taking an 84-year-old, and it hurts me to have this opinion, but the fact that she's 84 years old, she's in poor health, she didn't have her medication with her, like that was left at the house, they saw that, so she has not been medicated, and she was moved in the middle of the night, she has limited mobility, and it's been 6 days. I just feel like every hour that goes by, it's less likely that she is still alive.
I tend to agree with you, but I offer this up as rebuttal. Let's just say for this discussion that she was murdered, maybe that she was killed early on, okay?
Or she died early on.
Why send out the ransom demands? Why do that? Why I guess run the risk of demanding a ransom for something that you're not going to even be able to fulfill? That's one thing I'm wondering.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to get something out of it, right? So it's not all for naught.
Right.
If you're abducting an 84-year-old woman, you're not making the best decisions anyway.
Well, it just makes me wonder what the person's end game is. If they murdered her, was that the point? Are we just waiting basically for her body to be revealed? It doesn't seem like it, because why send these ransom demands? That would tell me she might be alive. But then going back to what you just said a minute ago, I can't get my mind around the fact that this kind of a kidnapping victim, it's like tying an anchor around yourself.
It is.
You're kidnapping someone who can't move very well. This is not someone who's young who you can say, hey, we're going to go into this hotel. You're going to walk through the lobby. We're going to stash you. This is a person who can't be moved. She's not getting her medication.
Right.
Is she vulnerable for some sort of illness or dying because she's not getting her medication? The stress involved. She's got a pacemaker.
She got heart issues.
She's 84 years old. Is she going to be able to survive this ordeal?
Right. No, I mean,
and it seems likely to say no.
Right. Poorly conceived. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong too.
I really do hope that.
But how are these guys going to get away with this if she is alive and they can do an exchange? That's going to be how. I'm very curious about how all of that stuff unfolds if it does. Right.
Well, so let's talk just. Last thing, we said FBI is involved. There's a lot of investigative manpower. They probably need that because the sheriff of Pima County, Chris Nanos, I think is his name, he has been less than impressive. I know he went on TV recently and said, if I could go back, I would do the investigation differently. I would secure the crime scene for longer.
Right. Just a quick note on that, because this is something that I saw in my research. They went in and I guess did a pretty quick cursory processing of the scene.
Right.
But then they went back 2 days later, realized they needed a whole lot more, and sent in like an additional forensic team, I think, with the feds this time.
And it wasn't secured in those 2 days, which is a big, big problem. It's a big problem not just for maintaining evidence, but it's a big problem for maintaining a chain of custody.
Yeah.
So if this goes to court and we're representing someone, right, you have to, if you got evidence from the crime scene that was not secured, how the heck are you going to prove that that evidence relates to our client?
Especially, like, this was a media sensation from the beginning. How do we know some, like, fan of Savannah Guthrie didn't, like, show up in to the property in some misguided attempt to help, may have moved things around?
How about some misguided podcaster who's doing a true crime podcast and wants to get a scoop?
Right?
Could be anyone.
Are you saying we should be heading down there to get the scoop and maybe tamper with a little evidence, Russ? Because we can?
Well, let's just think about it. I'm not saying we for sure want to do that. But I'm just like, let's not be hasty and foreclose any options.
Well, I think that, look, I'm willing to cut the Pima County Sheriff a little bit of slack because of a couple things. First of all, you have this kidnapping that just suddenly arrives at your doorstep. This is not something that law enforcement deals with every day.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so, yeah, you might expect some mistakes in this thing. And of course, just the public's demand for a conclusion on this thing, one way or the other, is just going to be fueling impatience on the part of law enforcement. And, you know, like, what is going on? What aren't you guys doing? How do we not have this woman back by now in 2026 with all of the tools that you guys have at your disposal?
Right.
What the heck is going on? So, yeah, I think there is some frustration. I don't know if it's misplaced or not. It's an emotional case. It's a sad case. And like you, maybe we'll just conclude by saying we hope for the best.
Right.
We hope that this has as good of an outcome as you can. Certainly, we hope for one way or the other there's going to be closure that's provided to the Guthrie family.
Right.
And Russ, I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But
yeah, I think so. I think it's, Colin, maybe it's time for something a little silly, a little lighter. Is it time for a dumb criminal?
I believe it is. It is time for
DCOTW,
the dumb criminal of the week. Russ, it is my turn this week, and we're going to find our dumb criminal in the sunny seaside town of Malibu, California.
Oh, Malibu. We haven't been to California in a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of dumb people there.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
it's just a big population.
Yeah,
I mean, the odds are just
We've
there.
been picking on Florida too much. There's more dumb people there, I reckon, per capita, I would think. But I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe not. Who knows? We did got to get IQ tests with the next census, I suppose. All right. Here's what we got, Russ. I need a name on this guy. I don't have a name. We need a California name. Malibu, so it should be like a surfer name.
Lance
Windrider. How about that?
Is he Native American? I like it though. I think Lance Windrider.
I have no information on his ethnicity, but maybe his parents were cool and just like kind of hippie names. So,
okay. All right.
So Lance, Mr. Windrider, was I don't know. He was in a hurry, Russ, and unfortunately he was also wanted by the police. So he needed to find some wheels and get away from a crime scene. So what he did, he saw, he's like, oh, right there, rolling down the street. There is a car I can carjack and make my getaway with. So the car in question, Russ, was a semi-truck that was transporting 18 porta potties. And so this guy, in getting away from the police, you heard me, he decides he doesn't go for the Corvette, doesn't go for the, the Viper, doesn't go for the souped-up Dodge Camry.
Doesn't even go for the Acura.
No, he does not. He does not. Doesn't go for the bland 2025 Honda Civic that blends in with everything else.
Right.
He goes in for the 18-wheeler hauling porta potties. He gets in a slow-speed chase with the police because, of course, he can't maneuver, and gets all the way to the Malibu beach, crashes beachside, and runs to the ocean where he immediately sits down, takes off all of his clothes, and waits for law enforcement to arrest him.
Why did he take off his clothes?
I think he was going to go for a swim and realized that he couldn't make it all the way across the ocean. That's my best guess. I literally think he ran out of real estate, but yes, he did take all of his clothes and was found naked. They gave him a towel and immediately took him into custody. So yeah, Russ, I mean, like I said, I mean, I can't imagine a worse getaway car than a truck. A more conspicuous truck that happens to be hauling 18 porta potties, Russ. Right. So, Russ, what do you think about this?
I mean, Colin, what I think is that his hopes for a clean getaway were flushed right down the drain.
Russ, much like the cargo he was transporting, his future has been laid to waste. Oh man, I'm glad you laughed. I'm glad that toilet joke didn't tank.
Oh, Mr.
Oh, what a mess to clean up, man. Sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. Oh. Russ, that is Mr. Windjammer, or Windrider. Lance Windrider. What do you think about Mr. Windrider, and what should we give him for knuckleheads? This is where we rate our stupidity of our offender here with 1 to 5 knuckleheads, 5 being the worst you can get.
I'm giving him straight up to a 5.
This guy clearly wanted to go back to prison.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this like, hey, come arrest me.
Right.
I'm going to make this as easy as possible for you.
I'm definitely not getting away.
I'm amazed he didn't. I'm actually amazed he made it to the beach. Like, they couldn't, maneuver this guy off the road.
I'm surprised he wasn't just out there treading water as they came to be taken into custody.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get wet.
He should have at least gone for a swim.
I
Probably
agree.
the last swim he's going to take for a long time.
I agree. Probably for a number of years.
Yeah, I would imagine so. A guy like this has to have a criminal history. I don't know that, but we'll just assume he does. So yeah, I'll give him 5.
5 for 10. It's been a while since
10.
we had a full 10.
That's a good one. It is. I mean, again, just your selection in carjacking. Yeah. Can't imagine a worse pick.
You would have been better off running on foot, dodging between buildings, that's the word. Literally,
he wasn't as bad as the guy we did a few months ago. The guy who stole the 18-wheel that was carrying all the Corvettes. Yeah, right. Because remember that you get tagged with the dollar amount of the cargo.
Right.
So that guy got $1.5 million in restitution. Right. So at least
porta potties probably a grand each, right? How much can they be?
I still want to know, were they full or empty at the time? Were these clean or dirty? I feel like they had to have been dirty.
If they dumped them on the beach, you got some environmental charges.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
Greenpeace is coming after this guy.
Right. He's making enemies left, right, and center.
You have to worry about the U.S. government and the Sierra Club. All right, Russ, we're going to call that an episode. Hey, we've gotten a lot of mail lately, and we appreciate it. We can't get to it all on the show, but we do see your comments. We see your texts. We see
your suggestions.
Yes, we do. And we see your DCOTWs. Some of them we're going to save for future episodes. Please keep it up. Send us a text. Just right there in the podcast description where you get your podcast on your phone, hit that send us a text button. Let us know what you think of the show.
You can reach us on all the socials, pretty much any platform you find. You can see us on video on Is This Legal TV, or just give us a search on YouTube.
We're doing video now. Yep. And then direct email, denvercrimelaw, all one word, @gmail.com. That's a good way to reach us. So, Russ, anything else?
Nothing else. Everyone be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time on Is This Legal. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.